Thank you all for tuning in. This is Iman
Selena.
and together we make you plus happy. Each week we bring you someone who challenges us to define success and happiness on their own terms with a dose of laughter.
Remember to like and subscribe to the You Plus Happy podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram at You Plus Happy.
Hey, Selena.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Anything happened this week that you want to share?
Yes. So, oh my God, drum roll. The library opens up.
Hey.
No, I'm not gonna go broke at Barnes and Noble. It was touch and go there.
Okay.
It was touch and go. Barnes and Noble was getting all my coins. So they opened up and I went Friday last week for an hour because they were closed at whatever. It was I could only be there for an hour. I got like 10 books. I'm popping. I'm reading a book on compassionate conversations. I got a monologue book. I got a poetry, African American, 250 greatest poems ever written by African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
So it has like Sonia Sanchez and I forgot his name, but the one who wrote the Revolution Will Not Be Televised.
Yeah.
They have like sections for each poet. Oh my God, he has some really good poems. And then I got a novel by this. It's a really good novel. I don't know the PC way to say it, but and then I got a book about relationships.
Oh.
I can't remember the rest, but I'm not going to read the whole poetry book. So it's like I skimmed through that one, and then the novel is for fun, and then the compassionate conversation is my deep one, like I want to be a better human being, and then the monologue one, girl, they only had one monologue for people my age, and it was about killing people. I'm good, so I could return that one. and then a relationship book, because yeah, get better at things. I can't remember the other ones.
Read them all like at the same time?
Simultaneously. No, like I said, the poetry book I read here and whenever, and that's one poem, two poems. Like I don't read, like I just read a couple a day. And then the compassionate conversation book, I read that in the morning. Like 2 or 3 pages, nothing crazy, while I'm eating my oatmeal. And then at night I read the novel. And then the other ones I skim. At night, I don't want my mind stimulated in that way, like thinking and all that, but I do want to read something. So the novel is like fun, chill. And in the morning, I want to get it going. How we going to start this day? So I'm reading about, stuff to help me be a better human being. So it's a method to the madness, but I also just love being surrounded by books. It was like winning the lottery. I was so hyped. It was the best day. I couldn't wait to tell everybody.
I'm glad that the library is back open and you're surrounded by books again. I can tell that makes you really happy.
I'm hyped. Hype. So yeah, it's real exciting.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, let me calm down. How was yours?
My week was good. I had something to share, but now that we're talking about books, I finished my one book. But I don't know if I mentioned this in previous podcast. I wanted to start reading more of I like crime and thrillers. So I wanted to get back into that because I've been doing a lot of self-help books and podcasts. So I just finished it and it was so good. It was I think I told you I couldn't put it down. And the ending was amazing, but I was sad when it ended. I wanted more.
Yeah.
But then I also was like, no, I feel like the author ended it at a very good place, but it was also I just wanted more. So it got me thinking and reflecting, and I was like, I want to be able to write like that, where someone can't put my book down and is at the end oh, but I want a second book. that's not what I was going to share, but it made me think about it because it made me really happy. And then sad at the end when I was like, but it's over. Like, what am I going to do?
That's
Because
the
you get so invested in the well, at least I do. I get so
yeah,
invested in the
yeah.
characters. So what were you going to say?
That's normal, I think. I follow this I don't know the name, but I follow this like book page online, and then one of the memes was like being sad when the book is over. And that I haven't had that feeling in a very long time, but I know what you're talking about. I
Yeah, I
know what you're
haven't.
talking about.
Took
And
me
like
in like
I close the book, I'm like, why is this over? Like
exactly.
I know.
Yeah,
I've been
I
there.
get that moment.
Yeah.
But that's not what I was going to share. So what I was going to share really quick um, is I'm really excited because the position that I was in temporarily, I had a talk with the supervisor last week and they're like, we want to keep you on longer. So I'm very excited that I get to stay and I really enjoy the work. So
Ooh,
yeah, I'm excited.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, not to be like that, but remember I told you I had a dream about that right before you. Remember a while ago, it was not on the podcast, and I was like, I had a dream because you were applying for another job or something, another
So
position, and I was
yeah.
like, oh my god, I literally had a dream this week that you were like, I started this new job, I'm this new position, and you were like, I'm so happy.
Mm.
This is my dream.
Coming to fruition. You made this happen.
My friend was like, Selena, you know you're psychic. So my psychic
Um,
spidey senses were tingling. I knew this
okay.
was gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm
Not to
excited.
boost my psychic stuff, just so everybody know I'm a psychic. No, I'm
Okay.
really happy for you, but I already like was so excited in the dream. I feel like I already celebrated. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
yeah.
You know how you feel something in a dream and it always already feels like it happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this week we are doing something a little bit different, and we're
Yeah.
gonna give a little insight behind the scenes of me and Selena. So
And
yeah.
in alignment with our, if you show us your definition of success, we'll show you ours. So we're going to show you ours this week.
I'm a little mad that you took that much time to read our tagline.
I didn't read it. I was thinking of it on my mind, like on my brain. I don't have it up. Sorry, y'all. I don't know our tagline.
All right, so I will start us out. So this week, or I guess month, how were you successful?
Well, it's the beginning of June. And you know what? I knew this question was going to come up, but I didn't think about it. I don't know. I feel like a lot of things that happened that I won't go into, usually my response would be to blow up and to get very mad. And I didn't. I was chill. And I was like, look
Growth.
at you, girl. I, was, I think that's the most success. Like responding to things a little bit better, taking my time. I still get upset. I'm human, but I was thinking like it's the difference between a child and an adult, where it's like we all get these feelings. Because I thought before from all the positive books, you're supposed to think of self-help books. You're supposed to think positive. You're not supposed to have these feelings. But I realized you're human. You are gonna have these feelings, and it's more about what you do with them. And like that emotional intelligence, like as a child, or as if you're not like emotionally intelligent, it's like, well, I feel this, and now everyone's going to feel it, and I'm just going to show it. And I'm not saying that won't still happen, because sometimes people need to know, but overall, but as a mature, like as a maturing person, human, it's like you feel this way, but you still have to represent yourself. You're representing the people you work with, like not that it was at work, but even you, like I'm representing you plus happy, and I'm representing, I just want to be proud of how I respond to something. or
Yeah.
to things that are in discord. So I think, I know that was real long, but I think that was a success.
Yeah. Self-growth. I feel like that's one of the main areas of success if you're growing and recognizing it. So
Yeah. What about you?
um
Besides your position.
well, it kind of is aligned with the I'm just thinking of like the last week. I can't, the last month has gone by as a blur, so I can't think that far.
Me either. Okay.
But within the last position, there was which I was a little bit surprised that they're like, oh, we want to keep you just because of the situation. But there was like a process that I wasn't clear on, but I didn't know I wasn't clear on it. So there was like a big dip in the data the month that I was there, and I was like, oh. So I had like a meeting with like our supervisors or whatever, and they're like, well, let's just go back through and see. And then like it was like a quick fix, but I just wasn't aware of like the extra step. Um, so I went back and put in so much overtime, but I was like, I want to stay here. I want to show them I know what I'm doing. So I was able to get everything back up. And I'm not going to say how much overtime I did, but I was able to get the data back up or past where it was before. So that was like my little success of like, and I think it made them realize like, oh, she's willing to put in the work. Like if
Yeah.
there is a discrepancy or if something goes down a little bit. Um, so it felt good to have that conversation. And they're like, we want you to stay longer. Cause I was like, oh shoot, like this is what is funding this job and like making sure that the numbers are in alignment each month. So
Did you mind doing the overtime?
no,
Yeah.
I think I was more so like and I have to get over this. I have a little bit of this perfectionist. So like when something isn't up to par, I'm like, I feel like I let myself down a little bit. So I'm like, oh, I need to fix this as soon as possible. So I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
But
I think that's like a beautiful point. And because I know I was miserable in my job for so long, not this job, not where I am now. If anyone's listening from there, I love it so much. But the difference, like if I did overtime there, I would be like, oh my
no,
God,
yeah.
I can't. Oh, like I just wanted to like literally like die. Like I just hated it. And then, but if I have to stay over here, which I haven't had to, but I've wanted to, like
Mm-hmm.
there were a
It's
few
very
times I stayed over and I'm like, I don't care. Like, I love this. And I
mm-hmm.
think that's a huge success to work doing something that you don't mind doing extra time. You don't
Yeah.
mind doing the time.
Exactly. Unless it's prison time.
At the work. That's you don't mind doing the time at the workhouse, at the
Yes.
workplace. Well, the
Yeah.
workhouse is at your own house nowadays, but you know what I mean.
I
No,
got you.
but that was beautiful. I'm glad that happened for you.
Me too. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So what is next question? What is a new habit that you want to develop?
I didn't think about this either. I don't know.
I
Hell.
love how you came up with the questions and
I didn't come up with the questions. I listen, we're not gonna go there behind the scenes. That's too much. Brainstorming by myself. These look cool to me. um, I just want to be more disciplined with like my goals. Like
Mhm.
when I'm tired and I lay down. But successful people don't. I feel like successful people keep going and they're like,
Yeah,
you
they
had to
do.
sleep at another time. Like they really talk about like you're gonna have to miss some Z's. Like, and I don't
Yeah.
like doing that. As soon as I'm sleepy, I'm like, well, I guess today's
Mhm.
over. And then I go read my little book, go to sleep. Um,
Yeah.
so I think a new habit would be like just being more disciplined with my goals and finding a way to make my brain work when it's sleepy. So
Okay.
it's not like a physical exhaustion. It's just like my brain is shutting off for the day.
Yeah, that mine does it every day around like 9:30. And I'm
And
like, I know that I can't get anything productive done at that time.
my problem is mine shuts off around 8. And I don't go to bed till like 10 or 11. So that's a
Yeah,
big
that
window.
is a big window.
I could be doing more. And it's like, because I do all the things I really want, but it's just planting those seeds for my next goal, my next ventures,
Hmm.
my next dreams.
Yeah.
Um, and taking that time to reflect and make sure I'm making strategic moves. That's how I got as far as I've gotten on this road where I am now, is like being super strategic and taking that time to like do everything with intention and strategy. So now with my next goals, I kind of want to have that approach too, like just super intentional, super strategic. And if I'm online looking for stuff or like trying to plant the seeds and I'm dozing off or like zoned out, I just want to make that window more productive from 8 to
10.
10:30. 10:30. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good habit.
I gotta make it a SMART goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. New habits are so hard though. Like it takes time.
They do take time. The habits I've developed that I like, I didn't think about though.
Mm.
Like I work out consistently, but I didn't think about that. It just became a
That's
part.
because you enjoy it though.
Yeah, that's true.
So I feel like usually with new habits is something, well, at least with me, I'm like, it's something that I don't necessarily enjoy doing. That's why I have to work hard to make it a habit.
Yeah.
I have a habit of eating. I can do that all day.
Woo! Listen. What what new habits do you want to develop?
Um, so I want to work on my procrastination. So what I want to do is like as soon as I know there's something I need to do, I'm gonna start working on it like that day. Because I feel like I do get things done, but I feel like a lot of times it's last minute and I'm like, oh, let me devote like 4 hours to this, which is not what I want to do. So I'm trying to work on just doing things as they're on my desk or on my like radar, that I'm like, all right, I might have 2 months to do this, but if I start now, by the time that 2 months comes, it's not even going to be, it's not going to be an issue, or I'm not going to be stressing about deadlines or anything like that. And whenever I think about it, so I had a roommate, we don't even really talk, but back in undergrad, so a long time ago, and she was so good at time management. So I always like reflect on how she would do things. But she would have like 3 months to get an assignment in, and she would spend like an hour a day. And then when it would come time to putting it in, everyone's out just like stressing and scrambling. And she's like, oh yeah, like I've been done with that for 2 or 3 weeks. But that was just the way, like her habit. Like as soon as she knew it had to be done, she would start and just do like, and sometimes she's like, oh, I just worked on it for 30 minutes a day. And I'm like, I can do that. But it's actually doing it that
I
it's a
think
struggle.
the gurus would say, first of all, figure out like your personality and find things that work for you. Cause maybe you're deadline oriented or whatever. Like just because that worked for her, it might not work for you. But something you told, right? So you should think about that, right? No?
What? Oh, just
Think
because, yeah.
about like, and then something you told me a long time ago was like when, and I'm like this too, when you make plans with someone else, you never, like you're gonna show up if you're tired, if whatever. And like
Mhm.
remembering to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
If you made
No.
plans with me, you wouldn't be like, I don't feel like it. You would never say that. And I would never say that to you. Like, Selena, we're not recording the podcast today. I don't feel like it. You would never say that. So I feel like
I tried to record a podcast with no voice, and you're like, no, girl.
stop her. Like, girl, you I'm ready. No, you're not. I'm gonna cancel you today. I'm sending you home. No pay. No, but I think if you look at your stuff like, why am I trying to tell you what to do? I don't know, but I'm just saying, I think that could help.
Yeah. No, and I do like whenever I do push myself to do something when I don't want to, I do always reference like other people that I feel like are really good with that. So I like that idea of that alter ego. I have to just figure out who she is. I got to give her a name. Like it's so much.
It was a lot. I think I'm not 100% sure on LB,
Okay.
but that's not her name, but her name is Tight. But I don't know if it's already used or what. Let's just say Tight. All right, show my age. Her name is Tight. Her name is the bomb. But it's been helping because I want to practice singing more consistently. And I'm like, when I do it, I get nervous and I'm like, no, Lee Bella's singing. Oh, that's her name. Damn, I said it. Shit. I'm like, no, she's singing and she's not nervous.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I'll let you know her name when I decide.
It'll come to you.
It will.
Me.
Okay, so in alignment with this, what's an old habit that you're trying to get rid of?
Also didn't think about this. Well, first of all, I would really like to say, I like all my bad habits. I can't name them all.
No.
I like my wine habit. I like my hookah habit. Listen, I got two sides, you know. I'm a well-rounded lady. I wouldn't call my wine thing a habit, no offense. I know that could be touchy, but no, I don't know. One of my old habits. I don't want to divulge all my personal information as much. So I want to kind of pull that back in conversation, like telling all my business, like how I just slipped with my alter ego.
Okay. Do you feel like you divulge too much?
Yeah, when I get in when I get into the throes of the conversation and I just start getting into it, I start giving off more information than I had intended to every time. Even with guests, I'm like, but with guests, I'm like, I want to make them feel comfortable and feel like they're not the only one. So I'll share things. And for the listeners too, it's like, I want people to know they're not the only ones, but it's also like, I didn't think about that I want to share that before I shared it.
Yeah. But I think like, I feel like that's what creates that level of connection and why people feel comfortable talking to you because you are like open. So just something, I mean, not saying you don't have to get rid of it, but I do feel like when I'm out with you, like that's usually, I feel like why people feel comfortable talking to you and like gravitating towards you because you are open and you're just like, this is me.
Yeah.
I'm very much the opposite. I'm like, let me fill you out. They're like, what's your name? I'm like, no, I'm kidding. I'll give them my name.
Give them what?
I'm like, I'll give them my name. No, but I'm definitely not as open.
No, you're not. But I don't think that's bad or anything. I think it's important to protect things that are close to you. Not that saying that's what you're doing, but that's why that's a habit sometimes I just will just let too much go. And then also sometimes I just talk to fill space. Like if I feel uncomfortable and I have to be around someone, I'll just keep talking. Like I don't want to do that. And then sometimes I don't know how to end my sentences. So
you're like, and I'm done.
I don't know. I just keep talking. Like, all right, that's enough. Sorry, y'all. Okay. Like it's just a hot mess. So I think like I've worked on being like more poised and all of that. But in alignment with that, I don't know. That's a habit that I would like to, is that a habit? Work on. In less social media. I have an addiction to laughing and them damn memes and videos. They be getting me, man. So I'm trying to limit it, but sometimes it's just after a long day, just come home and look at memes.
Nothing wrong with a few memes here and there.
But what is that it's that window when I lay down at 8 o'clock, then till
You gotta
9.
schedule it in.
I
Say
know.
from this
No.
time to this time, I'm
Yeah.
watching memes, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. That's a habit I really need to break. And then just watching my words more. All right, that's enough. What about you?
Mm. Doing it again. No, it's fine.
I know.
um,
What about your old habits that you want to stop? Hello.
oh, well, you didn't ask.
I just, girl, you know you're supposed to answer this question.
I need to be asked the question.
Okay. Old
Um,
habits you like to eliminate, Iman.
thank you. So mine is a little bit in alignment. Well, has to do with communication as well.
Mhm.
I feel like especially if it's a large group, a lot of times I'll wait for, I wouldn't say permission, but like I'll wait for other people to stop talking before I like chime in. And I'm realizing that that's not a way to get heard and seen. Especially, I keep going back to this role because I'm learning so much and I'm about myself.
Mhm.
But like part of the role is I'm in these triage meetings with people and like doing risk assessments, and it's all video. So everyone's just like talking at the same time. And I'm like, my go-to is like, okay, I'm gonna wait for everyone to stop talking to like chime in. But my role is to be present and like make sure that I'm doing my risk assessment from like our agency. So I'm forcing myself to not necessarily cut people off, but just not feel like I'm waiting for almost like permission or like waiting for everyone else to say what they have to say and then be like, all right, so that is something I'm trying to be more mindful of and just being more present. Because I've gotten that feedback before too, where it's like, oh, you need to speak up more like in these settings. Like I'm fine one-on-one, but when it's a group and everyone's, just kind of going, I tend to take a step back and observe. And then I'm like, all right, I'll talk when everyone's done. So
Yeah.
that is something I'm challenging myself to push past.
Yeah. And I love that, like, um, you have a position that's challenging you, because that was something you thought about anyway. And then I don't know if they
Mm-hmm.
brought it up, but you said it's been brought up to you.
Yeah.
I love when our work is not just a job, but it like makes us better humans or into the people we
Mm-hmm.
want to be.
Yeah, I
That's
agree. And I have to challenge people constantly. And that's not like,
I don't
that's
know.
not something I like to do. I'm just like, all right, we can
I
agree to
don't know,
disagree.
because you're different with, like you said,
With
one-on-one
people
and
I'm
with a friend.
with, yeah, with people
I
I'm
don't know
close
how you are
to.
at work.
But with people that I don't know, I'm kind of like, we can agree to disagree. But like my role is to challenge, not only, but to challenge like risk assessments. And so, yeah, I'm forcing myself to do that.
Ooh. You have
Mhm.
to reference this episode like a year from now and see where we are. I'm gonna still be on social media for 2 hours and rambling.
No, you won't.
I got to make a conscious effort. They made it addicted. I mean, addictive for a reason, but
Yeah, they
we have,
did.
we
There's
have
a lot of science that goes behind it
oh
for sure.
yeah, and it works because it works on me. Okay, but yeah, we have to like check in after like 6 months where we are, and then in a year.
Mhm. Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, would you say, are your top three values or beliefs, and where do you think they came from?
I didn't think about this either. So I'm gonna stop saying that. Y'all, I didn't think about any of these questions, the answers to them. What's funny? I read Tony Robbins' book a long time ago. You took a quiz and it was like, not you, there was a quiz in there to find out your values. And I don't remember them, but I do remember number one, and it was freedom.
Yeah.
So I knew that was important to me, but I didn't know it was gonna come up in the damn quiz. But I don't know. And you know what? I don't even think I would want to share my values right now or my beliefs because I feel like that's kind of sacred.
Mm.
Even sharing that freedom thing is kind of, I feel like if people know your values, they know how you tick and then they can manipulate you or get in your head.
I mean, yes, if you're
Yeah.
around people that are going to use that for
But one
that.
day we're going to have millions of viewers and
Yeah,
listeners,
but
and I don't want them to be like knowing how my brain works.
oh my gosh, Nina, I'm so done. I'm done and I'm finished with you.
I've seen what I needed to see, immediately no.
We're done here. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
That even me saying that is giving too much insight, but you know what I'm saying? You don't, because you're not manipulative. But I know a lot of manipulative people, and once they know how you tick, they will use it against you.
If you let them, though.
But it's
You'll be
sometimes they can
so
get in there.
beyond that. Like, they're going to try, and you're going to be like, it's not even phasing me anymore.
Okay. I don't know. What are your
Okay.
values? And then maybe I can steal 3 from you.
Well, of course, one is freedom. We've talked about this on the show.
Is it though?
Sure. That's one of them.
Such a stealer.
I mean, that's literally one of the reasons we started the podcast.
Oh, we have the same values. Okay.
Yeah, we've talked about
Yeah, look at that.
Okay. So for sure, freedom is one of them. I don't know if this is a value, but I think like being like a genuinely good person. I don't know if that's a value though. Like treating people the way you would want to be treated, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And I'm realizing how a lot of people don't do that. Like they don't consider how their actions impact other people.
No,
I
I
feel
agree.
like that's something that is very important to me. What's another value or belief?
We should have guessed each other's values.
Yeah. Well,
You don't know yours and I don't know mine.
and then I really believe in karma. Like
I was just about to
that's
say honesty.
something-
Even though it's a little different, but I know you will be honest because of the car.
yeah. And even like I feel like even in situations that make me upset and like in my head, I'm like, okay, this is gonna come back to this person. So I don't need to do anything or like respond in this moment. And yeah, it always does, good or bad. So that's always like with everything I do, I feel like that's always in the forefront of my mind. It's like, how is this going to come back to me, good or bad? I try to just live life accordingly. So those would be my top 3. Where they came from, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I think like the good person thing is probably just like my family and like how I saw them in the community and like dealing with people and their interactions. But I'm not sure where the karma thing, like no one ever was like sat me down and explained what karma was. It was just, yeah, I have no idea where I got that from.
How long have you been thinking like that as far as karma?
For a while. Like, can I tell you a short story?
Oh, yes.
But you and listeners have to promise not to judge me.
No promises here. No, I don't judge you. Sometimes. I don't know. Go ahead.
So I feel like my first moment of like karma and like, oh my God, this might come back to me was in middle school. I remember I was in 6th grade, so I was probably like 11 or 12. And one of my best friends at the time was one of the bullies at the school. don't ask me how that happened. I was never a bully, but we just clicked and I was like, this is my friend, whatever. And she was like teasing this girl in the cafeteria. I remember it very distinctly. She was teasing her in the cafeteria. And I never would chime in, but I also wouldn't say anything, which I feel like is just as bad. But it was like, okay, whatever. And she made a comment and she's like, well, is your mom upstairs or downstairs? And I don't remember what the response was. And then we left and I was like, why'd you ask her that? And she's like, oh, her mom died. And I was like, oh my God. And that was like the first time where I was like, how could you say that? And I was 11, but I was just like, I can't hang out with you anymore. And I remember going to the girl the next day and be like, I'm so sorry for well, I won't say her name. I'm so sorry for what so-and-so said. Like, that was so mean. If you need someone to, because she didn't really have friends. It was like, if you need someone to sit with at lunch, you can come and like sit with me. And she like started crying. She's like, thank you. And I was like, oh my God. But that was like the first moment of like, I can't be a bad person, or I can't like sit here and watch someone be mean and not feel something, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow.
I know. I didn't even think about that moment, but that like
Oh.
resonated so much to me. And I was like, I don't want to surround myself with bad people.
Well, that makes sense. Where do you think freedom came from?
I think growing up and seeing my parents not necessarily having it, like being there, and not so much now, but when we were growing up, so being so confined and like limited by jobs or situations or circumstances. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Not to sound spoiled, but
no, but I think it's a choice, and I think we don't realize we have that choice. I know for me with freedom, like I forgot about that part of like where did it come from, and I have no idea. But when I was growing up, I only saw like this limited world, and once I got a taste of other things, I was like, "Whoa, there's a whole lot of things I have to see. I can't stay here." And then I was like, then I found out I met these women who were like, in their 40s when I was like in my early 20s, and which wasn't that long ago. And they just kidding. And they were the first women I had met that they didn't have children, and they consciously chose not to have children. They didn't want them. And I never thought that was an option. As a woman, I thought I was obligated. And that I couldn't even articulate that back then. But as a woman, I thought it was you just have children. Like, it's like breathing. You become an adult and you have babies. And then when I had that, I said, wow, that having children is a choice. I said, well, count me out. I said, count me out. No, I didn't say that right away, but I did think like, wow, that's an option not to have children. And then the more I saw of the world, the more freedom I wanted. And the more I still want.
Yeah.
I'm getting closer to where I want to be. But I need free, like, and I feel, but the flip side of the freedom coin, because there's always yin and yang and two sides to the coin, is I have commitment issues. Not with like relationships. I'm not talking about relationships, but just anything. If it's like something that I feel will bound me, I will say no. Like, even something as simple as like, this is so stupid, but I remember I was getting some like tracks put in my hair, like some weave for a trip. And my friend was like, why don't you just get it sewn in? This was before everybody was wearing wigs. And I was like, no, it's too much of a commitment. And I just got the glue because I can rip that out myself. And I was just like, I have serious commitment issues with anything that's like, I don't know, that I can't control. So I don't know. I just never want to feel bogged down. And I saw what that does. Like, I don't want to feel stifled.
Yeah. I think you made a really good point about just that exposure too. Because it's like, you don't know what you don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you have that exposure, and that's one thing I will say, like my parents are really good at, is like, we might be in this circumstance where I'm going to expose you to all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you grow and learn so much when you have that
I
too.
I think my adventurous nature, though, I don't want to make it seem like I wasn't. For our means, we went on trips. I was exposed for what we could
Mhm.
see within our means. So I was
Yeah.
one of the few people who did even travel outside of Baltimore. Like the people I
Hmm.
was growing up around, they didn't leave their block. Like, and
Yeah.
that's not anything. I'm not being mean. That's the long and short of it. Like,
Hmm.
um, and it wasn't until I got older where I was meeting people who like went on trips. But when I was little, my mom made sure she took us to DC and Jersey, like the close.
Hmm.
So she did what she could, and I appreciate
Yeah.
that. But I think that sparked it like
Yeah. Just
early
that
on.
little, even just getting
Yeah.
out of your neighborhood. Like I was
Yeah.
talking to my mom last week, and she and was a little bit of a nerd growing up. And I don't know how we got on the topic, and she's like, "Oh yeah, remember you went away for horse camp for a week?" And I was like, "No." And she was like telling me, like she started telling me about it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember I had like Star and Smokey as my horse." But she's like, "Yeah, we got scholarships for you." Like she's like, "It
Yeah.
was expensive. We just got scholarships." And I was like, "Oh," but like little things like that that I don't even remember. I'm like, "Oh," like
It
I'm
just made
sure in the back of my head. I'm like,
that
"Hmm."
that like made you the way you are. I just remember I got sent to camp too. I went to it's called Best
Mhm.
Friends Camp or something. I just remember that. But it was
Camp
far.
was
We
so
had a
fun.
bus. What'd you say?
The camp was so fun.
Are you being serious or you're joking?
No, I'm for real. You didn't like
Yeah.
camp?
Huh?
You didn't like camp?
I loved camp, but I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
have a horse. I don't know. That's different. But that was my first like, because I'm a city girl. I'm a city girl, and that was my first time like in the wild or whatever. It contains obviously, but like we walked to breakfast, lunch, and dinner like in the woods and like doing all that kind of stuff. That's the first time I remember. But yeah, so I think that was like I she made sure from the beginning I always saw different things. And then
Mhm.
I met some really good friends in my early 20s that were like, there's more than even what you saw. I was like, what? Shut up. And then I was like, and now I know there's so much more I wanted to see and do.
Oh,
And the LA made this set it on fire. Like
mhm.
the spark
Yeah.
went crazy in LA.
Yes. For our listeners, get out there, explore, do something different.
Yeah, just try
Sure.
it.
Let's try it. Scary as it might feel at the time, like it's worth it 100%.
Yeah. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. I mean, the worst that could happen is you hate it, but then you have that experience and you could be
Yeah.
like, oh, I did this and it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah. Um, all right. So our next one, we went a little bit on a tangent with that one.
That's rude.
um
Telling me to tangent. See?
no, I said we went on a
Oh.
tangent. You and I. Girl, I started talking about horse camp.
Well,
I definitely started that.
it's good. It's supposed to be a conversation, right, listeners? Comment below.
Like all right, so how do you define perfection in contrast to how it's portrayed in pop culture media?
When I saw this question, I don't know. I didn't think about it, but it like made me want to talk about it. Does that make sense? I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking there's perfection, especially for women. I know it's getting higher with men, but like as far as beauty and like how we're treated in society, as well, you're in a different country now, but like in the United States, I feel like women in beauty, it's like you're held to a higher standard if you look a certain way, or you're held to a higher regard. And then
Yeah.
there's perfection as far as everything else. But in pop culture media, yeah, it's like look at the top people that like have to fit this mold. And I think it's changing now, like with the body positivity things and
Mm-hmm.
more inclusive, which I don't know. And you know what's funny? I just thought about, I just remembering this. We're like conditioned to think what beauty is. Like, I don't, or what perfection, I know perfection and beauty could be different, because perfection could be like success too, right? Like, I have the perfect job, I have the perfect family, I have the perfect car, I don't know, or I have the perfect body.
Mhm.
I think it's whatever you think it is, but I know perfection, I think for women, there's like extra, I know, I don't know how it is to be a man, but I think there's a lot of pressure on us to be a certain way and to
Mhm.
fit these ideals that are tricky, but who even made us think that that was the way? I
Yeah.
wonder what beauty or perfection would have been had I never been told what it is,
Mhm.
because we're so conditioned.
Yeah.
Damn.
And I think as women, we're also conditioned to compete with each other.
That's
There's
changing too. That narrative is changing, I think. No?
it is, but I still feel like it's still there, and
Really?
100%.
No,
Like,
I'm
I think but think about, like, social media, like, even just, like, who wore it better. It's a constant, like, compare and contrast where they'll have well, like, they'll have 2 celebrities who have the same outfit on,
Mhm.
and it's like, everything is how do you compare to this person? I think it's gotten better, I'd say, like, within like, outside of social media from my experience, but I feel like in social
Yeah.
media, it's constantly, like, bombarded, like, compare yourself to this, person or this thing or this item, and I'm just like,
Well, I see a
"Why?"
lot of people, I get what you're saying, and I didn't even think about that side of it. Because the other side, again, with the 2 coin thing, I do see a lot of people like, oh, go support my sis or whatever, or like shouting
Mhm.
out like, this is my beautiful friend, it's her birthday, like all that kind of stuff. Even with celebrities and like, I guess, non-celebrities. Um, so I do see a lot of that. And I know for sure in my day-to-day life, there's been a huge difference, like
Mhm.
of how I'm treated by other women now versus like when I was younger. Maybe that's because we were younger too. I don't like a maturity thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, like in my 20s and it was like it was horrible in like high school. But now I feel this sense of like, like, come on, let's all join. Let's be cool, at least
Mhm.
cool. Like versus like, I don't know. I don't feel that sense anymore. And even like in the remember Salt and Pepper, like back in the day, like I'll steal your man. I'm sure there's
Mhm.
still songs like that, but I feel like that's not common. I don't. Am I tripping?
No, I see what like, I feel like there's more of a push for women's empowerment and, like, coming together and supporting each other. Um, but I still feel like there's so much comparison as well. And
Damn.
not even necessarily and that's the thing, it's not even necessarily from women. Like, I feel like those compare and contrast, I don't feel like the people that are in the pictures are like, "Oh, like, compare me to this person."
Mhm.
I think it's just like a natural thing, even with, and I love these well, they're not little girls anymore, but like Hallie
Chloe and Halle.
yeah, and I'm like, I see so much comparison between them,
Yeah,
and I'm just
that's
like,
true.
they're sisters and they're a group. Like, why do we need to decide which one's prettier? Like, why does that matter? And like, why is that the first thing as society we think of?
Yeah, that's important what you're saying. But that's also part of that conditioning too. Like
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how we were, I had a thought, and there's books about this, and um like how would society be without media? Like even before
Mm-hmm.
social media. Imagine if there were no movies and no shows and like no news. How would we see the world? Because movies and shows condition us too. Like we can't
Mm-hmm.
pretend that that doesn't. Like the pretty person looks a certain way, like everything is showing you what the ideals are or whatever. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, if we had no media, how would we function we would be completely different. It would
Yeah.
be a different society. And I don't know if it would be better or worse. I don't know. Because I do think we have this innate thing of like we have to find something to separate us. Like if it's not sex, it's religion, or it's class, or it's color of skin. So I think there would still be a way to find division, but I don't know what would it look like?
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, that went wild quickly.
So we didn't really answer the question,
Right, I
but
don't know.
okay.
Wait, so what is we did talk a little bit before the show, and you said you don't really believe in perfection. And I think I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Because I feel like for me, there is nothing that is absolutely perfect. And like if you're constantly striving, and I know this from personal experience, if you're constantly striving for like perfectionism or like to make things perfect, you're never gonna attain that. Because even if it's, I guess, perfect for you, someone's always gonna find like a flaw in it. So I had to like unlearn, because I used to be very much a perfectionist, where like everything, like I won't do it unless it's going to be flawless. But I'm like, there's always flaws in everything. And I feel like some of the flaws are beautiful, and I'm okay with that. So I don't, like I haven't run across anything that I felt was just absolutely perfect.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what my definition of perfection would be, but I also keep thinking about it in pop culture because that was part of the question. And I just keep thinking about like beauty standards, which I know that's not the only thing that falls under perfection.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But I do see women online, and I'm like, oh my God, like they're perfect. And I know that's not realistic, but I'm like, oh my God, I don't hate on them or anything. If anything, it inspires me. I'm like, I want to step my game up too. But I'm like, they look great. But I never called any of them. I don't know if I ever said perfect. I think I've thought flawless. Is that perfect?
Kind of, yeah. I would say it's the same.
But I don't know why my mind is going to beauty standards. But I think because it's such a big thing in our culture. Is that big in Australia? I mean, probably duh.
Yeah, I feel like it's everywhere. Like you see a lot of women out here that do like a lot of like injections, and it's like whatever makes you happy. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like but I'm a little bit anti social media. So I'm like, a lot of times when I go on there, I'm looking at animal videos or like funny memes. So not so much like the beauty.
It's still
side.
social media though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not like, I don't know, like I don't feel like I'm looking at like going on to women's pages and admiring in that sense, or it's like fitness, and a lot of times they're they're working out. So
sometimes they come on my popular page and I'm like, oh, what they doing? And then I look at them, the pages, or like some of them do like the TikTok videos now, and so it's funny, but they still look great. So I notice, but
I know. I definitely notice, like, I'm like, oh, they're so beautiful, but I still don't think they're perfect. Like everyone has flaws.
They made their picture look perfect.
No.
According to the standards of our society, which we're conditioned to have. So there's a lot to unpack here.
Lots of layers. Lots of layers.
Lots of layers there. Damn, that makes me want to, like, my next trip to the library, I want to get a book on like how our brains are programmed by society and media.
And even the idea of beauty has changed over the years.
Yes, I've read books about beauty. Like when Marilyn Monroe was like the icon or whatever, she was voluptuous for her time. She was some thick. If you look at some of them books, she was a little thick. But the standard of beauty wasn't to be as like in the 90s when it was like real paper thin. Like when that I know that was more like it wasn't the urban side, but that was not how it was when Marilyn Monroe was popping. Like it was like the Coca-Cola thing, like being voluptuous.
Mhm.
Even with eyebrows, remember in high school, like the little thin eyebrows were the bomb,
Mhm.
and now the thick ones are in. My eyebrows
Yeah.
are overplucked because of that.
I've never really had thick eyebrows, so I'm like, it is what it is.
I
This is what you're
overplucked these
getting.
babies. Yeah. So that was interesting. It's a lot to think about.
It is. It is. Did we have anything else?
I do not.
Okay. Me either. Good job at picking questions, Lena.
Good job at answering them, Iman.
Of course. So thank you, listeners. Again, we could not do this without you. Remember to like and comment and share this episode. Leave a review. We really want to hear your feedback. You can subscribe at You Plus Happy on Instagram and on YouTube.
We'll see you next week, same time, same place. And remember, we'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.